Hello, everyone. My name is Hank Setala,
And I'm Dr. K.
and we're here with an episode of Holistic Highlights on Emergence of Being. And Dr. K came up with the topic today, pandemic exhaustion, but I think we could add to that election exhaustion as well, just the
All
way
right,
everything.
I was going to text you that. I was like, add to that.
Yeah, so like this is just in general, like these things that are just so long and drawn out and how it impacts us, this exhaustion that we feel, like ways and things that we can do to kind of get out of that space of exhaustion and maybe turn it into a sense of excitement and possibility.
Yeah, it's
And
it's that's interesting, right? I don't even know where we stand. I didn't even turn on the TV because it is everybody's on the edge of their seats, are they not? What's going to
yeah,
happen? Ta-da!
well, it ain't over till all the votes are counted, but they did. Pennsylvania's like closing in. I think Georgia flipped, and it's just all kinds of crazy. And there's lawsuits flying over all over the place. So it's going to be, even if all the counting's done tomorrow, it's going to be weeks probably because there's going to be recounts and court things. So we'll see what happens. It will be very, very interesting, and it may be decided by the courts at the end of the day. Who knows?
It's a very, this in history has gone down as probably the most interesting election ever. I don't know, from the time I've been alive at least. So,
Absolutely.
um, oh
And
gosh, pandemic exhaustion. What came to mind to me this morning before I came on was um, I think from what I'm hearing from a lot of clients and just the amount of depression that's going on, anxiety, all those things that are really pulling things out in people and having things revealed that maybe they didn't want to look at. And then the amount of probably antidepressant use. And I know we did a whole segment on antidepressants, but that's what came through this morning. I'm not here to squander anybody's antidepressants. If they work for you, fantastic. I have not had too many clients that are on antidepressants that actually feel a whole lot better. I think I know like one person that say, "Oh my gosh, I can't live without them." They night and day for me. But majority of people I know are still crying, are still feeling depressed. So what is it with that? And so I just wanted to bring that up because I have a feeling more and more people are embarking on that or trying to find solace in this time of not being able to have contact, not being able to hug, not, I'm hearing thanks. A lot of my clients are like, well, we canceled Thanksgiving. We're not having Thanksgiving dinner. We're not having 30 people over. Although I had a client that had a joke and said, well, for funerals, you can actually have 30 people, but for Thanksgiving, you can only have 10.
well,
So my
banquet halls,
client,
I think, are allowed 200 people, which is like a totally different direction. But that was
eh,
a bit ago. I don't know if that's still the case.
yeah, so my client's like, well, we'll have a funeral for the turkey. So that way we can have 30 people at the house.
Oh, that's
I'm
a
like,
interesting twist around things.
so, but people are longing for these things. They miss these things. And um, people that weren't really considering antidepressants kind of are now, or they're feeling out of sorts. So this is starting to really take a toll. And as we're heading into winter, thank God we've got a beautiful week this week, guys. So take advantage. The sun is making everybody feel better. Everybody has said, well, I get out in nature and I feel a whole lot better. I said, well, yeah, get out as much as you can, get in the woods, get in the sunshine, and stare at it a little bit too to get some of that in. Because as we head into winter, ooh, it's tricky. So there are other ways of, I think, handling this before considering antidepressants. We did a whole segment on that. Almost all of them have what's called a black box warning. Black box warning means that enough studies have been shown to the NIH, which governs the approval of medications, to say that a medication is actually very dangerous, and yet it's continuously given. I think doctors don't know what to do. They just, here's a pill. I leave my
And,
office. I got to go see the next person. They're in a hurry, and it's not often that's not what the person needs. So, um,
and for people just seeing us for the first time, potentially, Dr. K is a functional medicine doctor, so it's not like she's speaking from experience on the medical side as well as actually, Magic Mike had a great name for you yesterday when we were doing our share. He said Dr. K isn't just like I forget the first word he used. He's like she's a multi-dimensional doctor because she looks at the medical side, she looks at the metaphysical side, and then all these other things in between with the quantum biofeedback thing. So like really Dr. K is like this broad spectrum of
That's
knowledge.
what's on my card. Multi-dimensional technology.
Really?
Actually, yes.
I don't think he knew that. I guarantee you he didn't know that. Magic Mike, if you're watching, I'm curious if you knew that.
Is he? He's not on yet. Maybe he'll pop on.
No, he's probably still sleeping. We didn't get out of there until like 11 o'clock last night.
Oh
at our
my goodness.
clinic.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, guys, there's other things that I use. 5-HTP is great. There's a lot of different things that I can use to help you get beyond it. And some of it is your own work, because ultimately I think we want like, just give me the quick fix pill. But things are being pulled up for you right now to look at. So the awareness of things that are coming up for you to really look at, that doesn't, an antidepressant is just going to put a Band-Aid on the situation. I know it's uncomfortable and everybody wants to feel better, and it's not always a really super fast, quick fix. I tell people, for every year you have had a problem or you've been ill, it's going to take a month for me to work on and work on healing. So I think a lot of people really want quick fixes, and I get it. Nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. But let us help, because we have a great energy clinic that we're doing to help you feel calmer. There's so much I can give you supplement wise to help. Don't always, I'd say steer clear of, if you can, avoiding antidepressants, because number one, they're going to numb you a lot of times. They don't always get rid of the problem, and they have black box warnings, which means they have a high incidence of side effects that are not so pretty. So if anybody wants to know about, if you're on something and you want to know about the side effects, I could give you the whole list. And the one that really gets to me is suicidal tendencies on every single one.
It's kind of scary,
isn't it? If this is something that's supposed to heal you, make you feel better, then why is suicidal tendency a side effect?
And if someone isn't on an antidepressant yet, there are essential oils that can help with things like that, or I should say may help, because I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't claim to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease. But if you go on like my website, there's George Cox, who's the owner of Natural Options Aromatherapy. He developed a roll-on, which is a blend of essential oils that you just put on the pulse points a couple times a day. And there were actually case studies and trials and everything showing that people with depression found great benefit and or like improve a quality of life and things just from a few essential oils, but they're counterindicated with how antidepressants work. So like if you're already on an antidepressant, then the essential oils that could help, then they work against each other. So it's something that Dr. K could really help out with if you wanted to get to something like that, if you're on something.
And essential oils are being used at the Cleveland Clinic now, by the way, and they are being used at university, but to my understanding, and I don't know, I've not been there, I've not talked to anybody, just by side notes, side comments that I'm hearing, and on their website, I'm hearing they're diluted, so they're not like full strength, and they don't necessarily have, I don't know if the people there are certified aromatherapists or not. You're maybe better off seeing Hank or getting somebody that does aromatherapy and knows a lot about it.
I could recommend the oils, but if you're on a medication, work with Dr. K to get off of that and get on to what I could recommend. So that's why Dr. K and I work well together.
Yeah. The biggest thing I have to tell people is everybody right now is looking for a quick fix. We all want this to go away like that. We want to feel better right away. And I get it. I get that completely. Instant gratification. I love it too. But when there's been a lot of things going on in your life, a lot of things percolating, it may take some time. And there may be days you don't feel as great. There may be days you feel fantastic. Be patient. Detoxification, clearings take time. Can it happen instantaneously? Absolutely. But for some people, it may take some time, especially the detoxification processes that I use. It takes time to get stuff out.
The body to come along with it. For the spiritual part of it, one thing, like from the shaman, sometimes a shaman is a showman, and a ceremony where, because people value their baggage and they value all their trauma and their drama. And if you think of it like a scale, they have all this weight over here of stuff that's holding them down. And if you spend 20 years getting there, in our mind, well, I need to spend 20 years fixing myself, which isn't the case. Like Dr. K said, for every year it's a month, to get the body and everything on. But when you do like a ceremony of some kind, sometimes that can shift, like get the brain out of the way, where it's like not thinking, oh, I need an equal amount of time of healing to counteract all this destruction that has occurred. But one little ceremony, it can shift things very quickly for people. So the combination of that and other things can really facilitate a lot of change very quickly. And Mary Lee, I know you made a comment about recovery. I'm not sure. I know it was a bit ago, but if you can give more context, I didn't know if you had a question or had a parallel to what we're talking about for recovery or people in recovery. And Michelle Gerhardt does have a little recommendation for everybody for, not getting stressed out during this pandemic. Happy Friday. I'm not watching news. That's
Hi,
a great,
Michelle.
like the
Yes.
more you can detach from that kind of thing
Yes.
and not put yourself in the main street, poo flinging, whatever you want to call it, like all this chaos that are easy dramatized even more when you watch the news. It just gives you a little bit more peace and calm. I get plenty of news through osmosis from my family and friends when it's not solicited. I don't need to to watch it on purpose to get more of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have not turned on the TV since this whole thing started because I'm super sensitive and I can feel my heart chakra just congest when I see everything going on. I'm like, so every now and then I'll just get on Facebook and see what's going on, but they over dramatize things so much. And I did a little Facebook video yesterday, but just again to reemphasize, it doesn't matter who wins. The sun will come up, the grass will grow, things in life will continue no matter who's president. Um, so there's a higher level of stuff, and if we get all wrapped up in the elections and oh my God, the country's going down. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We don't know, but don't get
Life will
yourself wrapped
continue.
up in that. Life will continue. Life does not stop. Doesn't
Just
matter
think
who
of Jurassic
president.
Park. Life continued, even when all the science was, designed to not allow life to continue. Life found a way.
So you
That's a
have to
great.
remember that no matter who ends up being president, it is what it is. And I think we get really wrapped up in the corruption and what's going on, and then we get all hung up on it. And you as one person, unfortunately, I don't know that you're going to change the world. All you can change is yourself and create a ripple effect from there. And there's lots of meditation processes you can do right now to send light to the planet. And that's the biggest and best thing you can do right now. Looks like Mike's on.
Yeah, Mike just said hello. He'll still half asleep because he didn't say it quite right. But Mike, on her business card, Mike was talking yesterday at an Access Bar clinic that we hold once a month. He was talking about how Dr. K is a multidimensional doctor, and she actually has something like that on her business card. I don't know if you got that from her business card or if you were just like randomly calling her a multidimensional doctor, because it's actually on her card. So how fun is that?
So, yeah, the pandemic exhaustion is getting to people. But the other thing, it's pandemic exhaustion, but this is nothing new. We have had life exhaustion prior to this. It didn't matter. People were exhausted from running, and this is just a different, just a different name. I mean, all this stuff was going on, and this just kind of fueled it. So things are being brought to the surface for people.
Yep.
And if your life is in chaos and there's stuff coming up in your life, know that it's being brought up for a reason for you to look at. So if your relationship's not going well, if your work's not going well, if you've lost a job, know that there is a reason why that's happening. There's always a reason, and another door will open. And sometimes things look like they're terrible as you step into a new way, because a lot of times what's on the other side is where you need to go, and you'll look back and be like, oh, I see why I went through that. But when you're in it, it kind of sucks. So so you have to do your best to stay grounded and do a meditation and get yourself out of it as much as possible while you're in it, till you can navigate, and you'll get to the other side. Mary says, recovery from codependency, addiction, learn to work with feelings, thoughts, listen to higher self. Yes. Meditate, eat healthy, exercise. Yes. Yeah. All of the above. Those are awesome notes, Mary. Thank you. Everybody needs to read that 3 times.
And one thing too with the pandemic, the reason why it feels so much more intense than if like when it's just the run of the mill stuff that's all weighing us down, is we're out of our normal routines. If you were impacted through your work or other things, now you're staying at home. Like I know one of my friends yesterday that I saw, she's at home with the husband, with the kids. There's no, oh, my phone, my earbuds just died, so I'm going to throw it on you real quick. I'm going to switch earphones.
Yeah.
But basically, for her, like she's just with the same people all the time, and it weighs on uh, just not having any just you time, being around out of the normal routine. It can really just start making you aware of even more things that are coming up, and we're not deflecting anymore when you're out of that normal routine, going to work, going out with friends, and you're just like in uh, that normal pattern. Like a lot of that stuff stays underneath the surface. When the bigger stuff might pop up, but a lot of the stuff you're not even aware of, and then all of a sudden everything changes out of the normal routine, and all that stuff is, it's just like energy vomit coming up. And
Yep.
now people are scrambling to figure out, well, what do I do with this? And most of it's not even yours, because we're empaths. Everybody's empathic to some degree, and you have an awareness of other people's emotions. And now that is causing this multiplier effect where everybody's aware of everybody else's stuff. And now it feels even more intense, where really about 1% of that's actually yours. So just getting rid of that 99% that's not yours can shift the entire experience around the pandemic. And I'm going to throw it just on you for a moment
Yeah,
while
sure.
I fix my headphones.
Yeah, so that is, thanks for bringing that up, Hank, because two clients have told me that same thing. And I'm seeing it in a lot of people, that you are with the same person all day, and that is starting to really pull up. If you're having issues, or you've had issues before, and you go to work and those things get kind of thrown underneath the carpet because you don't really have to deal with them. But I've had a handful of clients pull that up. That's one of the biggest issues, is now you're with that same person all day long, and the kids all day long, because kids either are going to school or aren't going to school. And this is pulling up a lot of anxiety. So it's forcing you to look at what might need some work. Maybe it's time to move on from this relationship. I don't know. I'm not here to tell anybody to get a divorce or not get a divorce, but it is a time to look at what parts aren't working. Is it something that's going to need some time to look within yourself, look within the other person? You are picking up on other people's stuff, because now you don't have anywhere to go. You got to look at it. It's in your face, And we like to squirm out of that. Just give me a pill, give me a something to not feel the discomfort. We don't like to feel discomfort. And and there's a saying that kind of goes, get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, because
Yeah.
that's where the healing happens, unfortunately. And when you're breaking through your field, your whatever it is you need to move through to the other side, on whatever lesson that is, when you're breaking through something like that, it's not always comfortable. You crystallize, and then that breaks. And so when you're going through that process, no, it's not always comfortable. It does not happen overnight for most people. It can, but the more we resist, the more we have to work at it. So there's a lot of resistance that I feel from people, and
Yep.
it's normal. It's like, I don't want to let this go. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to face this. This is all being pulled up for you right now, and it's kind of a gift, and it doesn't come in a very pretty box with a bow. So work through it, look at it. Okay, okay, let's just look this and this. Okay, I may need to start dealing with this. And your answers are always inside you. I always say, if you have to ask, then you probably already know the answer. It's probably already percolating for you. You have the answer. We second guess it sometimes. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to quit our jobs, but maybe that job is not the best for you. Maybe that person's not the best for you. Maybe you need to detach from a family member that they have their own toxic stuff, yet you love them and you want to work through things with them, or you want to continue fighting with them and proving your point. These are all things that we need to now look at, and
Yeah.
breaking through codependency and breaking through those things, because is a lot of codependency. People won't leave relationships because they are dependent on something else or somebody else.
Right.
Well,
And
it's time
usually
to stand up.
they're getting something that they require from it. That's the whole codependency thing.
Yeah.
They're lacking in one thing, they're getting the one thing they need, and they're willing to trade all the serenity and possibility to get that one thing that they are trained to think that they need out of it. And then it creates a domino effect. And just to speak on two other things, when you're talking about divorce and relationship shifts, we've been programmed from a very young age through religion and everything, until death do us part. We talked a lot about this on our relationship series. And it's just a social conditioning that, oh my gosh, once you're in it, that's it for the count. And relationships go on for so much longer until people get, quote unquote, sick and tired of being sick and tired, where they finally demand change to the universe. But what would it be like if, once you had the awareness that this isn't working, that you could just shift and choose something different? And it doesn't even have to be traumatic. Usually if there's a situation like that, both people are feeling something of that nature. And though they aren't happy when a divorce happens, you'll ask someone a year afterwards, they're like, oh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And they find that after the fact, they ended up having all kinds of different possibilities. But what if you could amicably say, hey, it's like two pots growing together, plants growing together in the same pot. Sometimes they need to be separated and have their own pots, and then both can thrive. But when they're sacrificing their life essence to be in the same pot together, then they both dwindle. So it's just a little analogy to kind of show that. And the other part, from Conversations with God, what you resist persists. That's a duality truth. And for everything that you're fighting against, it's going to show up and push back harder. The trick is allowance. If you could be an allowance of whatever it is that's coming at you, be like, yep, that's very interesting what's happening, and then just choose differently. It's a whole different energy that I'm going to fight this, because one is allowing it to be and choosing different, and one is I'm fighting against it. And that's the way to shift out of how the duality works and into how the one-ality works.
Right. Yeah. And so that is, it's tricky. It is definitely tricky. And
It's tricky and easy at the same time.
it can be. It can be
Yeah.
very easy. Once you let go and you surrender, things just kind of shed. But the problem is we hang on. We hang on, we let it percolate in our heads, we put it off to the side. I don't want to deal with it. So no wonder everybody's exhausted. Because it is exhausting. And the other thing that happens is when we do finally let go and we do finally release some things, even if it's layers and bits at a time, you can get very exhausted. So when I do some healings with people and I do a little technique of unwinding the subconscious mind, and we pull up those things that are those little thorns in your side, when you pull out the thorn, there's a little bit of bleeding and it stops, but you're exhausted often after, because you have worked so hard mentally and etherically to keep this down, that when we remove it, it's like,
I keep clicking this button by accident. I apologize. Mary Lee's comment really wants to pop up before I was ready for it.
But it's so true.
Yeah. So Mary Lee wrote that discomfort is trying to get our attention about something. And oftentimes when things are changing, it's resonating something that it brings up an awareness. Really, like we see something and we have an awareness about it, but that awareness is something that's going to take us to a different possibility. And ego goes, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because the ego's job is to keep you safe, and it will let you choose the same thing over and over again. It would rather you relive the worst day of your life over and over again because it knows you survived it than take the chance on something new. So when you feel that discomfort and that fear coming up, really it's just the ego's last ditch effort to make sure you stay safe. But in that possibility, all kinds of wonderful things that can happen. And I have this little acronym for fear I'll put up. Fear is feeling excited and ready. So if you feel that little anxiety and these different things, this discomfort, it's all about the ego going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But really, what if we misidentified that feeling of anxiety and discomfort? What if that's excitement? And we just been conditioned as children when you're about to go on that ride and your parents say, now don't be afraid, but you were excited to go on the ride, and you start to misidentify excitement and fear. Maybe this discomfort is really anticipation over some new possibility. And we can start to use little acronyms like that to shift us into the space where we're willing to receive those possibilities and see what's possible.
Right. Absolutely. So I wonder if anybody out there who's on right now has some questions. How are you feeling? How are you navigating through this? Is there something that's irking you guys, that is an issue that you're willing to share? And don't be afraid. We don't bite. We're here to help. You're getting, kind of free help if you need it. So, is there something to any of you that are listening, that are tuning in, that you're kind of on the fence with, trying to figure out, not making sense to you? Please post. Or if you have any questions, where are you at with everything? Are you in a pandemic election exhaustion? You know, how are things moving for you? Is your life great? That's super because for some people things are fantastic. It doesn't have to be, you know, not everybody is having an issue, but a lot of people are, and they don't know how to navigate through it, and they want this to go away. And I can just intuitively, and I could be wrong, but I think this is going to be around for a little bit longer than we want. So,
Well,
um,
how long did the Spanish flu last when it made its rounds? It
I
was
don't know.
not
Do you,
an
I didn't
immediate thing.
research. That was
I
1918, but I didn't look at the
I
time
had the impression it
span.
was longer, but maybe I would have to go back and double check. But like when these things have come up, it hasn't necessarily been a quick thing. But just speaking of when you say if you're listening to the show, we are now uploading the show to iTunes and other places. So like if you're in your car and you got like Alexa Auto or whatever, you can say, well, I'm going to be careful because I have one of those behind me, but you can say, you know who, play Holistic Highlights podcast, and you can actually play all this in your car or using your Apple smart device or whatnot, all that Google, it's all on that. So you can use any of those and find the show. And I have some of the archived episodes uploaded too. I'm trying to upload a couple, one a day from the archive as well. So there's 7 published right now, and I'll continue to publish those. So if you want a different way to listen to us, you can definitely take advantage of that. And let's see, no one's made a comment. I guess everybody's like all, peachy and they don't need us.
I guess not.
That's a good thing. They've already
Yeah.
listened to us enough. We're like, we're good. We don't need you.
Well, I hope so. I hope it's sinking in that you're starting to look at life a little differently. Maybe it's, like causing you to go, huh, I wonder about this in my life or that in my life. And we're not here to tell you to make any decisions. Obviously, if you are a little stuck on that, just to reach out to us privately so that we can address the issue a little bit more, because we speak in generalities here, and we can help you unwind whatever situation it is that you have. Um, but
And
I'm
here's a
thinking
comment from Michelle.
yeah,
Michelle, she came to our last clinic, and she just said, "Ever since my session with you, I feel more space." At least I think she came to the clinic. I'm not
yep,
110%
that
sure
is
now.
that is the
That,
Michelle,
yep, cool. I just wanted
the
to make
Michelle.
sure. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know that what we're talking about, on the first and third Mondays of every month, and we'll mention this a little bit more at the end, we do an energy clinic where it's like a 15-minute session. Dr. K and I both work on you in tandem, and I do some shamanic stuff. She does pranic healing and some other things, and everything's really different. For those of you who have come a couple times, there's sometimes that we do one thing, and then other times something completely differently. And I've noticed that there's almost themes every time now. Like almost everybody who came to this one, they had like all these like a similar theme going on, and it's
Yeah.
just it's really interesting. So if you are interested in just kind of having a taste of what we do, that's something that we can. You can experience. And Michelle did ask, could you elaborate more on bleeding heart empaths?
Okay.
So a bleeding heart empath, my definition of that is when you're listening to somebody's story and you're doing it from the place of judgment. And judgment, not like, oh, they're a train wreck or anything like that, but like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, that, like, all that is judging their stuff and actually validating, cementing in their story and cementing in their trauma and their drama. So that bleeding heart empath is one that they're not just hearing the story, they're feeling what the person was feeling while they were in the trauma drama. They're identifying with it, they're naming it, judging it, and now they're claiming it as their own. That's bleeding heart empath. Where if you could listen to the story and just go, that's interesting. Like not
Yeah.
dispassionate or anything like that, but that's interesting. Like you stay in this place of detachment where you can let, you're not taking on their stuff, and then you
Exactly.
have a lot more choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And we, us that have big heart chakras, we want to help. And, I'm one of those people, and I've learned to pull myself back when I find myself reaching forward and going, oh my gosh, I want to help this person. Because, yeah, when you start bleeding out all of your energy, you're not necessarily helping that person to the fullest. When you're able to be grounded and in your own space and just have compassion, and I think you'd agree, Hank, right? Compassion and bleeding heart empath are two different things, right?
Well, in compassion, there's sometimes compassion, it depends where you're coming from with that compassion, because you can be compassionate and have some of that bleeding heart mixed in. So they are two separate things, but there is, I think, a space of crossover with the two, because you could be compassionate and you could have bleeding heart, and sometimes we misidentify the two. And we're not saying not to be compassionate with people, but you could be compassionate and offer an energy for change without reinforcing their trauma and their drama, is how I would go with that.
Right. I think that's a good way, but just staying grounded and just hearing somebody out so that you can hear clearly on what they need and how best you can help them. I think that's kind of what we're both trying to say. And yeah, those of us that have big heart chakras and want to help a lot, it's challenging sometimes. You just want to hug that person, you want to make everything okay for them. And
Yeah.
we want that, but from a different space.
Or I guess the real distinction, sympathy is when you're identifying with it because you're allowing your own trauma and drama that resonate similarly to come up, and you have sympathy because, oh, I've been there. And compassion is you might not have been there, but you can hold the space for them to be where they're at. That's I think a really good distinction. And Debbie brings up the stress from all these things is causing headaches, and she's using lavender help. Lavender is great. Depending on the type of headache, because there's two types. There's one that's a constriction of blood vessels, and there's one that is like an overstimulation. Peppermint, if it's the constriction type, is also a wonderful essential oil for headaches, as is lavender. And wintergreen, very small dose, like 1 drop in a blend is enough, because it's a natural aspirin. All that can be really good in a blend for headaches. So I'll throw that out too, as well. And I'm sure you have really good stuff for headaches too.
I do. There's different reasons for headaches, though too. So I want to the first thing that comes to my mind. But headaches, yes, can be from tension in the back, in the neck, and when we get stressed, these things get tighter, and you'll feel yourself in the neck and in the shoulders getting tighter, and that constricts things and can cause headaches. But the other part of this too is sometimes we have viral conditions that are out of control. And as we get stressed, the adrenaline in us rises, and this feeds it feeds the viruses. It's if we have neurotoxic things in our system, which I do a lot of detoxing. When we have neurotoxic environmental toxins, all these things are neurotoxic. And when we get stressed and it puts stress on the nerve, then the adrenaline rises and all this stuff biochemically starts happening in the body. And that's one side effect of body toxicity, is actually headaches and fatigue. So that might be something to look into if you have other symptoms alongside. And then look at what is stressing you and work on, is it just the pandemic? Is it just the stress of that? And let's work on that so that maybe we can alleviate the repetitive occurrence of the stress headaches.
Right. And stress could be like the icing on the cake per se. Like there might have been different layers of something going on, and then this one thing is what threw you over. Now all of a sudden you have the headache. So to Dr. K's point, like what other things could be contributing to what's going on?
Right, exactly. So looking at the whole thing there.
Oh, Michelle just said it will take 50 months to work on her. Thank you. People that stay the course, though, that might be how it starts, but I think that there comes a point where you start getting more results more quickly. So
yeah,
so like that may be you might start out as a month per year or whatever. But and one of the great things too, like if you can really be authentically honest with yourself and ask this question: when have I ever been unloving to myself or to another? That is every place in your life where you've had a moment of hucha, that moment of heaviness, the things that are weighing us down. And if you can actually list all that out, and you have you can work as consciously as possible with all of that, you can really fast track the stuff that you're not aware, because a lot of the stuff is other than conscious. But if you can peel off the layers of crap that you can call out and name it for what it is, you can get rid of a lot of that extra time that it would take to work through it all if you didn't do that. So just a little tip for you, Michelle.
Yeah. I don't know that necessarily it'll take 50 months. I think a lot of times people feel a whole lot better over 3, 4, 5, 6 months of diligent work. Changing your diet, exercising, detoxifying, doing energy work, all those things together. If you inside really want that change, it will happen, and it will probably happen pretty quickly. So,
well, she meant it more as a joke. She said, "I meant it more as a joke. For every year, it's a month." Well, I get it, but if people were just to come to like Dr. K or myself and they're coming for the session, they're present in the session, and then they go home and just do their old crap, it might take 50 months through osmosis if they're not actually engaged in their own healing and they're just coming to say, I'm doing something for myself, but they're not actually doing the work. It may take that long.
Yeah, I
But,
agree. I
yeah.
agree.
But hopefully not.
Hopefully not. So I'm trying to think of what else we can give as tools to help people stay afloat on the boat, because we'll be on this for a little while. We'll be rowing down the stream for a little while.
Well, one that I think would be really good, go back and watch our episode on the power of words, because in our dialogue every day and the word choices that we're making, there is immense power in words, and just the words that you're using to say the things that you're choosing can impact energetically how things are kind of bouncing off of you. And we talk a lot about that in that episode. So that would be, I'll find the link and I'll post it. But that would be a great extra whole hour plus. I think we did 2 shows on that, didn't we?
We
and
did.
Now that I'm thinking about it. So there's like 2 episodes where we just talk about the power of words, and just that starting to reframe how you look at the world and how you interact with the world through your language is a huge thing that can help.
Yeah, pivoting your thoughts and then pivoting your words, because before the words comes a thought. And if you find yourself going down the rabbit hole of something negative, and it's very easy to do, it's like, oh my God, life sucks right now. Whatever XYZ is happening. And then the more you think about it, the more you create what I call is like a cloud. It's almost an entity. It's a compilation of thoughts that actually start to manifest as an actual thing. So the more you keep thinking about something, say, and then verbalizing it and vomiting it and giving it attention or brag. So bragging isn't always about, oh my gosh, I have this big shiny things. And when you talk about your life woes and things, that's a way of bragging, and you will bring about more of that, more of things to brag about that aren't going well in your life. So it's really gaining that awareness and pivoting out of that and saying, nope, not going down there. Nope, not going down there. Go look at the sun, go look at a tree, go have something, a little, drink or something that you really like, something nice, to bring you out of that thought pattern, or like pattern interrupt pretty much, and then find something to be grateful about. If the sun's out, enjoy that. There's got to be something in your life that is going well, even if it's super, super, super small. Find that, focus on that for 17 seconds so you can start to change the thought pattern, because it takes 17 seconds to start a new wave of a thought pattern. So snap yourself out of it. And this is where we have to double down on it right now, because here's what happens. You turn on the TV and all of a sudden it's like, we go down that hole, and oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, they're lying. And oh my God. And it's like, the elections are fraud, and oh my God. I mean, I've gone down that rabbit hole a ton of times since COVID started. So that always had to pull myself back and say, no, I'm not going to try to convince anybody of anything. I'm going to let you know the information that I have, but and that's it. And you leave it there and you detach and go. So if you find yourself going down a rabbit hole, catch yourself. You have to be on awareness right now to catch yourself when these things start happening. So you can go, nope, okay, this is not good for me. This is not beneficial. If we knew and could see the power of our thoughts and the power of our words and what they, like, if we could visualize and see what happens when we say these things, when we think these things, we would stop, because you're starting to create. The second you have words that you say and thoughts that you think that aren't great, we start to create that. You start giving it energy and it starts to manifest in the world and around you. And a lot of times people don't make that connection. We don't make the connection of, oh, 5 weeks down the road, something breaks because you've been bitching about finances or something. And we don't make that connection.
Well, personal story, my kids, they would always play the van that I have. They would be playing with the little doors, open the door, close the door, open the door, close the door. I'm like, stop playing with the door. You're going to break it. The door broke. Now, would it have broke if I hadn't said that? I really believe it wouldn't have. I was annoyed that they were playing, and I said that to create a fear, and then they kept playing with it and they broke the door. And I got that out of my head, because now there's still one door left and it has been going strong and has never broken. And I stopped saying things like that. Or they associated getting baked cookies from the car fixing place whenever we took the car in, they would get cookies. And all of a sudden we were having all these car problems. Cars are breaking left and right. And then I had the awareness they have associated the car breaking with getting cookies, and they're putting out to the universe, I hope the car breaks. So I actually had to sit down with them and say, yo, guys, like, no, we can't be doing this. Like, I'll just buy you some cookies. The car doesn't need to break to get cookies. And we haven't had nearly the car issues. But really, that's the power of it. And kids are really good at it because they don't have the point of view about, it being hard to manifest or actualize until way later in life. So like, really think about what you're putting out into the world. And fortunately for us, humans in general, we don't hold our attention on things. That's one problem people have with actualizing in their life is they put out to the universe, they're choosing this. And then 10 seconds later, they're choosing something different. And 10 seconds later, they're choosing something different. So they never give the universe a chance to actually create for them because they're already moving on to 10 other things. So we're not consistent, fortunately. But if you're putting those words out and things that are negative, quote unquote, that all adds up. And then we start bringing that into our life unknowingly. And it's all because of undisciplined thoughts and things like that, which is where meditation and mindfulness exercises and clearing out your energy. And probably the biggest thing, just noticing when you go there and then reframing it. So if you went to a dark place, immediately reframe it. Oh, I'm so glad that I have the power in me to choose differently than that now, or whatever you like to do, but start to shift it right away. The more you notice it, shift it immediately. And absolutely. you can really minimize the impact then. But we're all progress and spiritual progress versus spiritual perfection. Give yourself a break if you go negative and go, don't judge yourself for it. Because that's going to just add to it. So you notice it, then you choose different and don't judge where you went.
Absolutely. Or say something like delete, cut your cords, delete, and immediately get to something positive so you can change and flip that thought pattern. I have an example of that too, like you do, Hank, but I have somebody that I know really well that is very, passionate about the masks, passionate about the elections, and posted multiple things. I watched as this individual posted multiple things about masks and I really feel the energy through a message. So these masks are BS, blah, 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 blah. And this went on and on and on. And how can the government be doing this? Just every few days, there was a text, a message on Facebook about it. And I'm like, I know you don't like it. I don't like it either, but don't go there. Just go focus on something else. And he recently posted that he goes, thanks a lot. I forget who he blamed, but I now have a sinus infection from my mask because I had to inhale all this stuff and I'm on 2 antibiotics. And I'm like, not shocking, because the amount of anger that was coming through this message with regards to the mask and against the government, I don't know if it was for DeWine or whatever, but I'm like, it's no shocker. It's really no shocker that this developed for you, because what we want to do is the universe doesn't know the difference between you want something or you don't want, or you don't want something. So if you want it, it's kind of a lack energy, but if you want to materialize things by focusing on, I'm so glad that I have this, I'm so glad that I have XYZ. But when you say, I don't want COVID and I don't want COVID and I don't want COVID and I'm worried about, the universe doesn't understand that. So it's an energy of you're putting your attention on that. And the more you put your attention, like Hank posted, if you put your attention on it, like, I don't want it, these masks suck, they're causing more infection, I can't believe the government's doing that, I can't believe I have to wear this freaking mask, and it's going to cause, you're putting attention on that. And so it's no shocker that it may manifest in some way. You put enough attention on it, and it's no shocker that he has
the word
want infection.
In 1940 something, I forget the exact year, they rewrote the dictionary, and the word want is now interchangeably used with the word desire. But if you think of rich people want for nothing, it means rich people lack for nothing. And if you say, I want money, I want peace, I want calm, you're actually saying energetically, I lack peace, I lack money, I lack calm. And because the universe says, okay, here you go. You lack energy, you lack money, and you create the lack. Where if you shift it, just give it a try and start and say 10 times I want money, and try to say 10 times I don't want money, and see which one feels like it would create more money in your life. Because if you say I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money, you're actually saying I don't like money, I don't like money, and the universe says, okay, you don't like money. So you can actually use that little thing as a trick. That's an access thing where you can say I don't want and use it as a thing to help actualize. But even better, what energy could I be to create the abundance in my life that I would truly desire? And you just ask that question and then see what shows up in your experience. That the universe is going to say, here you go. It's going to start bringing that to you. You start to be that energy. Beingness comes first, and then the universe brings to you opportunities to express that beingness through doing. So if you can be the energy of abundance, you're going to have opportunities to express that being abundant by things coming into your life. And that's where the trick is, because a lot of us think we need to do something in order to have something, in order to be something. And it's the opposite. You be something, and then you can draw to you. And otherwise, you're never going to be fulfilled because you're always looking outside of yourself. But the state of being comes from within, and then you have opportunities to express it. I know we're getting a little deep with that, but it's a very big thing to be aware of, because the beingness really comes first, and then all the rest can come so much easier than trying to do it the other way around.
Absolutely. And so ties into the pandemic exhaustion. How are you navigating through it? Because people don't know how to navigate this. They handled it in the beginning, I think, but now people are getting tired. They're tired of it. I feel the
And winter's
stagnation.
coming. Oh man, we're going to be isolated in the winter. And oh no.
Right. Yeah. Find some other, there's plenty to do. There's plenty of fun things you can do. Find those things and change your thought patterns around this, because you can create opportunities for yourself. You really can. But when you focus on the negative, then it's different. And I think I want to clarify that too, because we can say a lot of affirmations and people are like, oh, great, I'll just make some stickies and put some affirmations up and I'll say them over and over, but it's not working. Dr. K's not working. Well, what's the energy inside? And this is where the energy clinics help, because when you have, it's kind of like when you have a cupcake and you have that chocolate or vanilla frosting on the inside. Well, you can put frosting on the outside and all that, but if the stuff inside is rotted, the cupcake's still not going to taste so good. So if you're putting all these things on you, the affirmations, but on the inside, your energy is like in disbelief and whatever, I'm angry and whatever else is going on, that needs to be scooped up and cleaned out too, so the affirmations can work better for you. And this is where the energy clinics come in, and we help you scoop some of that stuff out so that you are able to have clarity and you are able to navigate better. So that's really, I think, an important piece. And if you're just
Mhm.
saying things just to say them without pulling in the energy, like when I say affirmations, like, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have so much. I start to feel as if I have that item or I'm in that wonderful space. If you're just saying, I'm beautiful, and you just like, that's it. It may not work so great, and it may take a really long time. You have to pull in the energy as if you really feel it, as if it's really there, even if you don't have that yet, or if you're not in that space yet.
Yeah,
If
and
that makes sense.
I shared with people before when I first got sober. My sponsor had given me an affirmation, where maybe I just got it from a meeting. Self pity and gratitude cannot coexist, and that became my like mantra for a year. And every time I would find myself in a place of negativity, I would reframe it in a gratitude statement. And honestly, for the first several months, first 6 months at least, I was just doing the words. I was doing it because I was told to do it, and I was doing it. But I stayed the course, and there came a point where I started to feel that way. And like really everything that showed up, I went to a place of gratitude instead of, oh, I wish I could change it, blah, blah, blah. But that was what we were talking about before. I noticed I was doing it. I immediately did something to reframe it. And there came a point where it shifted and it became easy. And then there was one other thing that you mentioned there that I was going to comment on, but I forgot what it was. But Michelle was bringing up, she needs to rehear that. I heard it before, like I'm surrounded by instead of I want. And good thing you can go back and just replay the broadcast. But like even if you change the word want with desire, even that shifts. Oh, now remember, affirmations versus affirmations. An affirmation is like, I am beautiful, right? An affirmation is, how is it I love being so beautiful? Or you put it in the form of a question. And
Yeah.
the reason to consider this is in topographical brain mapping, they can show that the brain is engaged completely differently when asked a
A
question
question.
versus
Yep.
a statement. And so not only do you do that, do it as often as you can in front of a mirror, because your brain sees what you're saying when you're saying it, and it starts to associate you with the things you're talking about. So doing things in a mirror and shifting it to a question instead of a statement can really fast track it. And the one question you don't ask is, of course, why? Because that's a victim question. It loops you right back in. You say, why is this happening? Universe, and says, here's why. Here's another experience of that roller coaster. And you're like, why is this happening? Here you go. You go around again. And it's something to be really mindful of, like avoid the question why and instead say, what else is possible here, and to start shifting, breaking yourself out of that cycle of repeating the same thing over and over again.
Right. The brain forces you to think differently when you ask a question. Try it. You can say, like, I'm trying to think of a good question you can ask yourself, but watch your brain start, the hamster starts going and figuring out the reason. So if you say things like, how can my life get any better? And even though it might not be great, your brain will go, I wonder what can happen to make life be better.
How does it get any better than
Better than
this?
this. Yeah, I like that question too. I was thinking of other things, but they often say the person that controls the conversation is the person who's asking the question. So you're having a conversation with your brain, and the brain has to start digging and finding answers. And it forces, when you throw something positive in that question, like better, the brain starts to try to find experiences to match that, and it tries to dig and find stuff to make you feel that way.
And more than
So
that, you're throwing that out to the universe to bring you, how does it get better than this? And the experience comes. It shows you how it gets better.
yeah, and be patient. Just, well, Hank and Dr. K, I asked that question and nothing happened. Try it a couple times and
Yeah.
be patient, because that experience may not show up for a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes I've done healing with
Took me
other
6
people.
months with my
Yeah,
example. It
see,
took
yeah,
6 months and I
yeah,
stayed the course though. And that's the thing. Like once you choose that you're ready for change, like I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I retired as a professional drinker and whatnot. And I actually started doing my work. And it took a year for me. It doesn't have to. I've seen other people that I've worked with that it happened in a much shorter time frame. But of course, I have a lot of tools to help them with that now. But for me, I was kind of self-navigating through because even my sponsor, I had someone, but they didn't really do anything. I went through my own doing the work and everything along with a therapist, but it was grueling for a while. But I stayed the
yeah,
course and everything shifted. And wow, now it's totally different. So just choose to change and it will show up. And you just stay the course and be as engaged as possible
yeah,
in choosing everything that you can do. Throw the kitchen sink at it. Do everything you can
yeah.
do to cause and create as much change as possible, and it will happen.
That's what I do. I throw the kitchen sink in, and when people work with me, I'm even bringing Hank in sometimes. If there's things that I may not have a tool for, why not get the extra help? But really, like Hank said, staying the course, um, allowing it to move through, setting the intention, and things in life will change. So if you're impatient, like me, I like instant gratification. We all do. But when there's something challenging in your life, usually there's some resistance. If you don't have what you want, it's usually some resistance. Or if you're not through to the other side, or some things aren't resolving, where are you resisting? And then staying the course of seeing that through. And I've seen this in my life, I've seen it in other people's lives. Yes, things can happen instantaneously, and I pray for that for everyone. But sometimes, depending on where that person is in time, the result can happen a few weeks down the road. I've had people that have had a massive result 2 to 3 months down the road, and they often don't make the correlation.
Ooh, you know,
So,
another one that came for it just popped in for me. Whenever I was resistant to something that I knew, like someone was recommending for me to do to be free of everything, it would actually say, "How free do you want to be?" And like that was the question. Like whenever I've had a resistance of choosing something that would have created more change for me, and then the thing would be, well, how free do I want to be? And it created like the possibility of stepping into that where I didn't really want to go there. And that would be another great one. If you feel resistant to anything that we're talking, well, how free do I want to be? How much change am I willing to have? How could my life really look like if I were willing to do the work? And see then if you might have a greater willingness and drive to choose some of the things we're talking about. And
yeah,
also, last call for questions and comments because we're coming up on our hour mark and we like to upload these things to Instagram TV. And if we go over an hour, it's way harder. So if you have any questions or comments, now is your time to make them. And if you catch us on a replay, still make your questions and comments because we can always start with those on our next stream. So definitely make the comments if you can. And preferably, there's a link on all the video descriptions to our YouTube channel. If you can make the comments there, like the video, subscribe there, that all helps Google serve us a little bit more organically. And that would be a great help to us just to reach more people. So if you can give back in a way, just through that little INI exchange of doing that, that would be amazing.
yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, the more clearings you can get done through the healing clinics, the more we work, things do shift, they do change. And the other piece that I want to toss in really quick is I had a long thought about this. If I were to magically take away all your pain and your health issues and all that, like you come for 1 session, 2 sessions, oh, you're done, you're clear. I've taken away the journey of you realizing how you got to this space and why. Because there is also some energetic components of how you allowed yourself to navigate down this road. And sometimes we have to take a look at that so that you don't do it again. And so then if I were just to take everything away really fast, that's one thing. I'd take away somebody's journey. And number two, the body often cannot handle an enormous amount of healing all in one shot. The body has, like Hank said, it has to come along. It has to integrate. The healing has to integrate. It has to catch up to the healing that we give it internally and externally. So this does take a little bit sometimes. So just be patient.
Because there are healers out there. I know 2 of them. I call them sledgehammer healers. And they like energetically zap the person so much. Like I've actually had people come after they got work done and had to work with them because their body couldn't come up and hang with where they were brought energetically. So be kind to you and ask for what could I receive today that would acclimate me with total ease of where I'm going. And you can, because you don't want to, they call it a crisis healing where your vibration shifts so fast that the physical body doesn't hang. And then you have like a manifestation of an illness or purging and stuff like that. And though those are very cathartic, and if that's what you need, if you believe you need that to heal, like I had one lady, I don't even want to go there. I don't want to draw any more of these experiences to me, but I had one lady that in her mind, the only way she could heal potentially was like a cathartic release. So she needed something like that. And if that be the case, great, but you don't have to have these crazy things in order to heal at all.
And same with me. I do a lot of detoxing. I do a lot of killing of viruses that have been percolating in somebody's system. Things have been going on for a long time. If you think that a virus is just going to move through your body, or parasites are going to move through your body from your digestive tract out with ease, it doesn't always happen. People undergo what's called a healing crisis sometimes.
I went through one because I was an idiot. And I took Reiki 1 through Master and Spiritual Insight Training 1 and 2 all within 4 months. And like in the last class, like I was driving home and I was just like, something's not right. And I had oh, it was just, but I wasn't sick. No, I wasn't contagious. And it wasn't food poisoning or anything like that. My vibration just shifted, and all the stuff that couldn't hang where I went vibrationally had to purge, and I had like a really not a happy time for a couple days.
Yeah,
but
it
was
will move through.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't fun.
Move through.
And if I had just spaced those classes out a little bit, or if I had done a detox, like if I had a Dr. K in my life at that point, like, hey, Dr. K, I know I'm doing all this stuff. Maybe I can, you can help the body as I raise my vibration here. Like a detox would have, I'm sure, changed everything. And now I've done master cleanses, so I know when I'm having these shifts, I'll do a cleanse at the same time, and it is really, really helpful. And really, Ernie brings up a great question. Ask yourself, what is best for me next? That is a great with choosing a healer, choosing a class, choosing a detox. Like, what would create the greatest possibility? A question like that can go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. So these things, be patient with yourselves, guys. Be patient. We're giving you a lot of tools, and you're like, well, guys, but it's not helping. It may not work overnight. It may take a few weeks of diligent, consistent action yields consistent results. It's impossible for things not to work if you really give it that love, kindness, space, and do what we're telling you to do, and doing it consistently. Pick one thing, do it consistently.
And suspend your disbelief. Yep. Suspend your disbelief. If you have any disbelief at all, put that on the shelf and just have the experience and see what can change.
Do it morning and evening. Make it a routine. Make it a routine. Pick a line that we've given you. Pick something we've given you, a tool. Do that morning and evening, and just hang with it for a while and watch when things start to shift and break. And is it going to take a week? Is it going to take a month? I can't tell you. It's how much resistance do you have? How much disbelief do you have? Just allow it to move through and stay consistent with it.
And really quick for next week, if you want to join us, we're going to be doing, oh, did I put that? Okay, perfect. Grief. We're going to be doing a whole thing on grief and being in the space of, as people transition, like different tools and things that you can do around grief. And then the first and third Monday, as we mentioned, you can go to emergenceofbeing.com and book these. But we do have the energy clinic. There's my cool little picture of the space and everything. But you come in and it's like a little 15-minute session, and Dr. K and I both work for you. And I would recommend book them sooner than later, because we have had people we've been pretty booked up, so it's been really
Yeah.
fortunate. So
And you get your own room too.
you get,
so.
yeah, we bring you
Yeah.
in a room now, so you're not like just out as other people come in. So it's a little, we try to create a little bit more privacy and all that. But it's we've already had people that have come multiple times that have had huge shifts in their life, and we're hoping to get little testimonials we can give you for them. But really, if it calls to you, it's a great place to start if you don't know anywhere else to start. So take advantage of
Absolutely.
those. And we will, I promise you, do a virtual one for those of you who aren't local. We just have to actually sit down and create it. But cool. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you next time.
Absolutely. Take
Bye,
care,
everyone.
everyone.